In this video, we are going to look at one of the most widely used architectural patterns in software, Model View Controller, or MVC. It sits at the heart of countless web frameworks, and once you understand its three parts and why they are separated, you will start recognizing it everywhere you look. Imagine you are building a web page that shows a user's profile. If you write the database queries, the validation rules, and the HTML generation all in one tangled block, changing anything, even just the layout, risks breaking the rules or breaking the data fetch. As the app grows, this becomes a maintenance nightmare. You need clear seams between the parts, and that is exactly the problem MVC was designed to solve. Think of a restaurant. The diner only ever sees the menu and the finished plate. That is the view. The kitchen contains the real ingredients, the recipes, and the cooking rules. That is the model. The waiter moves between the two, taking the diner's request, handing it to the kitchen, and delivering the result. Each role is cleanly separated, and that separation is exactly what MVC gives your software. MVC splits your application into three distinct components. The model owns your data and your business rules. It knows what a valid user looks like, and it talks to the database. The view is purely responsible for presentation. It takes data and turns it into HTML, or a JSON response, or a mobile screen. The controller sits in the middle. It receives the user's input, decides what to do, tells the model to act, and then hands the result to the view. Each component has one clear responsibility. Let us trace a real request. A user submits a form to update their profile name. The controller receives that HTTP request first. It is the entry point. The controller checks the input, then tells the model to save the change. The model applies any business rules, writes to the database, and returns the updated record. The controller then picks the right view and hands it the data. The view renders the final HTML page and sends it back to the user. The key consequence is that the view never touches the database, and the model never knows how it will be displayed. MVC shines when your application genuinely has a presentation layer, user-facing screens, form submissions, dynamic web pages. If your team is split across front-end and back-end concerns, the pattern gives each side a clear boundary. But MVC is not a silver bullet. A pure API backend has no view, so the pattern often mutates into something closer to model controller only. And in large, complex domains, the controller can accumulate too much responsibility. A well-known problem called the fat controller. With signals, you may need additional layers or domain patterns on top of MVC. The most common mistake teams make with MVC is letting logic creep into the wrong layer. Keep your model as the single source of truth for business rules. Keep your controller as a traffic director. It should receive, delegate, and respond, not compute. Views are dumb by design. Give them data, let them render it. In larger systems, MVC covers your presentation tier, and you add a service or domain layer underneath the model for complex business logic. Work with your framework's conventions, not against them. MVC is one of the oldest and most battle-tested patterns in software architecture because it solves a genuine recurring pain, the tangle that forms when presentation and logic share the same space. Once you understand that the controller is the entry point, the model is the brain, and the view is the face, you have a mental model you can apply in almost any web framework and a clear guide for where each piece of code truly belongs.